Rose, you feel a tickle on the back of your neck as warm breath like brushes across its back and your spine raises. You hear, and then suddenly there are hands on the back of your shoulders. You are plunged forward and over the top of the well. Can you please give me a dexterity roll?
Oh my god.
What?
G'day and welcome to the Stream of Chaos. My name is Dave and I'll be the Keeper of Arcane Lore for this session of Call of Cthulhu. Over the next 2 weeks, we will be playing through Saturnine Chalice, which is one of the 2 scenarios contained within this book, Deadlight and Other Dark Turns. You can get your own copy from chaosium.com. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Roll20, Sirenscape, and Web Captioner for being great tools which we use to run Call of Cthulhu. Now, here's where our scenario begins. Our 3 investigators, who were strangers just before today, all happened to be traveling on the same train, which they missed due to a misprinted schedule. Fortunately, one of them has an automobile and, deciding to drive, has generously offered to take the other 2 along with him. Now, after several hours of driving pleasantly through rural Massachusetts woods, it's becoming pretty clear that you are lost. And to make matters worse, the car has been making these like strange and fairly non-standard grumbling sounds for a little over half an hour now. And then it stopped moving altogether. So where we pick up play, the 3 of you have been futilely trying to get moving again. It's a little after lunch. It's a very pleasant day, but you have figured out what the actual issue is, which is you are out of fuel. Fortunately, one of you has just gotten back from a short jaunt and has spotted a house nearby. They'll likely either have some fuel that you can purchase or a telephone from which you can call for help. So I'd like each of you to go through and introduce your investigators. If you could give us your names, your occupations, and sort of what you look like, and also how you're handling this surprising and mandatory midday picnic / hike. So Art, why don't we meet Rose first?
Hi, I'm Art. I'm playing Rose Preston, who's a medical student from Boston, Massachusetts. Apple of her father's eye. Very clever, but very young, so often people underestimate her. She is, looking at my information, slender and a little on the short side, with strawberry blonde hair cut into a waved bob and brilliant green eyes.
Ooh.
She looks young for her age, but she is wicked fucking smart, so, you know, that's right. How she's coping with picnic? You know, I'm enjoying the outdoors. It's nice to get out. I spent a lot of time studying, so it's nice.
It's kind of a chance to breathe a little. What have you been doing since the car broke down? Were you the one that crawled under it to check the engine for leaks? Were you the one that went for a short sojourn to seek help? Or did you try and make some coffee or something with the thermos you guys had brought in the car? What were you doing?
I think I was probably making coffee.
Perfect. Making sure everyone's keeping those energy levels up.
Just kind of talking to whoever's looking at the car, trying to work out, what's going on. Like, I don't really understand automobiles, so I understand people a little better.
Yeah. So just making sure that everyone's in high spirits and keeping everything moving forward. So next we meet the owner of the car, Jackson, playing Jacob.
That's me. I'm Jackson, and I'm playing Jacob Carefax. I think I said Carefax instead of Carfax because that'd just be a bit ridiculous. Jacob Carefax is a 44-year-old businessman from merry old England, from the old country.
Oh, jolly good.
Yes, he's been traveling the world a bit in the sales and distribution department of his textile mill, and having a grand old time. He's 44 years old. He's got streaks of grey in his neatly kept hair and moustache, and he is usually spotted in a fancy 3-piece suit. And even though it looks like he's kind of like stuffed himself into the suit and is a bit stuffy overall, he really was quite keen to take up this post traveling around because he has a spark of adventure in his heart, and he sees this as an opportunity to get out and see the world. So this is great. Have you already decided who's gone out to look for help,
No,
or
not at all. Just
that
one
might
of
be?
you.
I think that might be Jacob. That
Okay.
might be Jacob.
All right. So he's sort of got a can-do attitude, doesn't he? He's rolled up his trouser pants and he's
Yes.
done a little hike out into the woods. You found a little like a cresting hill and you walk through under some of these tall, beautiful pine trees. And from there you spotted a nearby quaint little two-story house on a large little plot of land, and it looks like they'll have the supplies you need. So returning to the
Delightful.
rest of them, you'll be able to either push the car closer or just the three of you hike up there. So Jacob returns, and the last character we meet is James playing Edward.
You could say that Jacob has gone out on a commando mission solo. Who was just subscribed for 1 month? Commando solo.
I thought you were just really
Sneak
trying
him
to
in.
build up your personal
Build up
brand.
the hype.
For a brief sec, though, I was like, you went into the woods without your clothes on?
For a brief second, I thought Jackson had had a stroke.
All right, well, Jackson's still breathing. Thank you for the subscription. And lastly, we meet Jim.
Yes, I am Jim, and I am playing Edouard Monsieur Diop, a former boxer fighting out of Paris, France, by way of Saint Louis, Senegal. I am an infuriatingly charming man. I am just positive at all times. I do a lot of really good work for the community. I run a gym in Harlem. I'm still a little kind of spry, a younger dude with sort of a big, broad shoulders of a former boxer, and a big smile and a positive attitude.
Charming fellow.
Yes.
What have you been doing during this brief stall?
I like cars. I can't really repair them, but I drive them pretty well. I've got a good drive auto skill. I've been messing around with the car, and I'm convinced that with enough love and enough kind of just turn the key a little bit differently this time,
Yeah.
I can get it started again. It just needs a running start. Give me a second, and I'll get there.
Okay, so you've spent a few minutes behind the wheel. It's a really nice car, so it's kind of just a chance to feel the leather and see how it rolls. You are now convinced that the issue is just it is out of fuel. That's the downside, is you can't really solve that. But the upside is it should be a simple solution once you have some, and the car should start again, and you'll be away, continuing on your journey.
If we can just get to a downhill section, we can kind of crest a good chunk of the way.
Well, yeah, you can roll throughout the downhill, and then as soon as it levels out, you're going to need the fuel.
Listen, I'm a positive thinker. I've got a temporary solution. When we get to that problem, we can address it.
Yeah,
But,
that's fair. It's trying to, you're bringing solutions, not problems. I like that. All right. So Jacob has just returned. Rose has just packed away the small little lunch you guys have had, and Edward is he's bringing solutions to the problem. None of them are going to apply just now, though. The small house, not the small house, the manse is nearby, and that seems to be the current course of action. I pass it to your hands.
Yes, indeed. All right. Good news. One and all, there's quite a nice-looking manor just over the hill over here. I think it's quite likely they'll have a telephone, and we can call for help and get ourselves out of this sticky situation. What say, hey?
Look at this. This man is wonderful. He finds us a house, somewhere to hide. You are the best. I'm telling you. If we got trapped in a desert, I'd want you with me.
You're too kind. I do feel somewhat guilty. It was my automobile that
Oh,
got us
no,
in this
but
situation in the
It's
first
such
place.
a lovely car, though, and frankly, couldn't be here amongst our company. This is a wonderful little detour. I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Delightful. Well, shall we?
Gesture towards the route, and brightly we begin to stroll, whistling.
Wow.
This is a great day.
What a
Nothing
nice
is going
day.
to go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been very pleasant. All right, so Jacob leads you back the way you came. Edward sort of jauntily following along, whistling a small tune, and you've kind of grabbed a couple of small piecemeal things, maybe a day pack or something, but the larger luggage, your clothes for the train expedition, everything, have just been left in the boot of the car. You rolled it off the side of the road, but you're so rural, the chance of anyone stealing anything or even finding it are shockingly close to zero. As you crest the hill, you spot this small manse. It follows a winding path as you reach the property, and then looking out at it, you can see this very pretty two-story mansion with a little deck around the outside, gardens spotted throughout the property with the rose bushes and things. There's a huge shed and slash garage where it looks like cars would be stored. There's like large barn style doors, one of which is partially open. There's also a well within the gardens, looks sort of older, but in that like rustic sense. And there is what looks like a family mausoleum also within the gardens, like, sort of like white stone with like angel statues out the front of it. This looks like a very lived in property. Of the three of you, are any of you Massachusetts natives? I guess Rose is probably the most likely. Yeah. Are you rural or urban, do you think?
I don't know Massachusetts, so currently I reside in Boston. My birthplace is in Brockton, so anyone who knows Massachusetts can tell me where that is.
I have no idea where that is. Do you think you've been like out to like urban sort of like regions before?
You mean not urban? Like
Sorry, rural.
Yeah. Given that Rose's original interest in medicine was veterinary studies, I think yes, there's probably quite a good chance that she spent some time around, large livestock and then gone, oh, I have to do what with the cows? Oh, no, thank you.
I'd rather not. In that case, yeah, you'd be pretty familiar with these sort of properties. They are dotted throughout the area, and as someone in chat has just mentioned, a lot of Massachusetts is rural, so this doesn't seem at all out of the ordinary. You'd find wealthy people that have brought up large properties, and they would raise families here, and it'll be very, very pleasant. You begin to traipse up the path towards the house, and what do the three of you like to do?
In embracing my infuriatingly cheerful and positive attitude, I am going to stop and kind of enjoy the garden for a second on the way up to the door. I'll stop and, take a look at the plants and kind of like, can you see that? Keep nudging the other investigators. But I guess slowly and surely we've got to make our way up to the house, get inside, maybe ask for directions, not directions to a place, but, directions to somewhere we can get fuel or assistance or a phone.
I just like to take a look around, really. I'm just curious.
Well, we should probably, ask them we are allowed to come in before we go wandering.
Oh no,
around.
I just mean look. I just mean look.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm just looking around. I mean, if we're kind of pilfer things, which we shouldn't. I say that the garage, I don't know how to say that in that accent. Oh well. Garage probably has fuel for cars, but we should definitely check if people are home first. Of course.
I am concerned that we have begun planning a heist, and I'm going to knock on the door before we proceed any further along this line of thought.
Okay. So as you walk up through the gardens, you do spot these little rose bushes dotted throughout the area. They look well tended to, trimmed regularly. A lot of the thorns have actually been cut off, some of them, and they're all blooming in this beautiful deep red color. As Rose idly looks at the garage and does point out that that's surely where fuel would be, you do see a very nice car on the interior. It looks like it's shone regularly and well loved. They'll probably be well stocked. And additionally, as Rose is pointing out, if we need to steal things, the three of you do also have the memory of, you only met this morning. You don't actually know each other that well. You kind of had, casual conversations as you drove through, and then you played I Spy for a bit. You don't really know each other that well. Did you want to say something, Jim?
Yeah, could I make a drive auto check to get some information on that car? I think I am an appreciator of motor vehicles, and I'd like to just sort of, this is clearly someone who is wealthy. Does it look like it gets use? Just some sort of general information about the owner that the vehicle can tell me.
Yeah, absolutely. Make a drive order roll.
In the same vein, did we actually figure out what was wrong with our car? With my car?
Out of fuel.
Was it just out of fuel? Just out of fuel, nothing else?
Yeah, that's it.
Fantastic.
When you tapped the gauge, it looked like it had been stuck on the full thing, so you hadn't realized until too late.
That old thing.
No luck there, I'm afraid.
Yeah, you don't recognize the specific model, although you'd be pleased to know the book does say what it is. But you do know this. It's a nice car. It's probably pretty expensive.
If the specific model is there, I am tempted to. Is this kind of, is it close enough that I could stroll over and kind of take a look and maybe get spotted as a push for that roll?
Yeah, so you could push the roll by actually traipsing like around through the garden pass and yeah, just basically pretty brazenly going and snooping. That said, you did just say to Rose, let's go up and knock, so
Yeah, you're right. The temptation comes over me when there is a car as beautiful as this on the line. I do
it's
want to
always
exhibit.
there.
No, I will head up and let's knock on the door.
Okay, all right. As you get to the door and raise your hand to knock on it, you hear from inside. Sorry, as you thump it just the once, you hear from inside. Come in. I'm just a little occupied at the moment. Doors open. Please let yourselves inside. All right,
I shall do so.
You push the door open, and what is revealed is this beautiful long hallway with a set of stairs leading up to a second story. There are doors going off in either direction on the interior, and currently balancing on a very precarious step ladder is an elderly butler-looking style gentleman. He's got the little outfit on. He's a little bit shorter than average, and he has grey, nicely trimmed hair and a big bushy mustache. He's currently on the top of the ladder. You know that one that has "Don't stand on this step" written on it? He's on that one. And he's reaching up to a chandelier. Yeah. Sorry, it says,
Surely
feel
not.
free to stand on this step until we think about it further. He's currently standing up on top of it, and he's reaching up to a chandelier where he's trying to like repair some of these like electrical wires running to and from it. It is currently lit, and as you come inside, opening the door, he like holds up at it, looks at it. Some of the wiring still looks a little precarious, but it seems to be working, and goes, right, that's done then. And then he begins to shuffle his way down and towards the three of you.
Could I hurry over to just try and make sure he doesn't fall off the ladder? Put a hand to steady it, make sure he can get down safely.
Yeah, you like reach out and go there, and as he comes down, he goes, "Oh, thank you very much, sir. I am Mr. Linwood, Jeremiah Linwood. Pleasure to make your acquaintances."
It's nice to meet you, Mr. Linwood. Is this your home?
No. I serve the Waylands. May I ask your names?
Of course. I gesture to the others for allowing them to introduce themselves before I jump in.
Oh, yes, of course. Jacob Fairfax of England. We were just traveling through, and our car has fortunately run out of fuel just on the road over yonder, and we thought we might trouble you for a spot of assistance if it's not too much bother.
I see. Well, I'm sure we can try and help. And Miss?
Oh, hi. My name's Rose Preston. I'm a medical student.
Charmed to meet you.
Edouard, and I will hold out my hand for him to shake, and I will be very polite and,
Yeah. He shakes your hand in turn, and then he says, we don't get many visitors through here, especially not surprise ones. We're a little out of the way. Why don't the three of you head through this door here, and he points to a slightly ajar door, where you can have a seat, and I'll ask my wife to bring you some refreshments while I fetch the owners of the house.
It sounds
Okay.
wonderful.
Thank you. That'd be very kind.
You head through, opening a set of large doors, and emerge into a lounge room. It's all beautifully furnished with like thick rugs underfoot, comfortable chairs scattered throughout the area, and tall shelves populated with like memorabilia and artifacts from generations of lifetimes of adventure and just living. There's several large portraits which dominate the room. Of them, there are three characters that repeat throughout them. There is clearly the patriarch of the family, a large, handsome man with a squared beard and neatly combed hair. You can see he is clearly like a very proud figure and one who leads the family forward. There is the matriarch, a mother, who there is only one photo of, and it is her in her bridal gown, and then she's not seen again. And then there is the daughter, first seen as a very young baby held in the mother's arms, and then later on when she herself is graduating, so with the little hat and the scroll thing. Jim.
I got a couple of follow-up questions there. Hate to be a pedant on words, but so the mother isn't seen again, but we see the mother holding the baby.
She is holding the baby when she is in the
bridal
bridal gown.
Bridal gown. Okay, that's what I was going to follow up on. And secondly, as we're glancing around these pictures, can I have an eye out and see if I can pick up some sort of indication of what the industry for this wealthy family might be? Is there pictures of, mines or, lots of anchors for ships or something?
Yeah,
Is there
yeah,
some
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of, yeah.
Make a credit rating roll.
A credit rating roll? Okay.
Well, unless you've got something else that you think.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's a success.
A quick look around. It does not seem that there's
50.
anything. There's nothing that immediately springs out. You'd eventually spot like a couple of it seems like he's got a business degree which is framed somewhere, and it seems like it's the ever vague import export.
Okay.
Nothing
right.
particularly exciting. That
Sure.
said, just given that you are snooping around, you do spot there is a through thread of interest in foreign and esoteric artifacts. Nothing immediately strange, but just little bits and bobs that would have been picked up through, travels throughout the world. Little pieces from Egypt and distant Asia, things like that, just scattered throughout the place. What are the three of you doing? You have a moment or two.
This is a lovely place to find ourselves. I'm glad we were able to. I'm sure they will help us get us back on the road. Maybe we could stay for a while, have some food.
Quite right. Yes. Quite a fortuitous detour, rather.
You work in business yourself, do you not?
Yes. Textiles. We have a large textile mill out in the Peak County, Peak District. Reading character sheets. Yes, good idea.
No, it's a good business.
Peak District, which is at the southern tip of the Pennies Hills. Thank you, Wikipedia. Yes, so I'm quite knowledgeable about my upbringing, indeed.
Do you know this man? You have come across him?
Well, not my dealings so far, but if it seems that they're into imports and exports, maybe they have a call for foreign textiles. Who can say? This could be quite a profitable detour as well. Yes, quite.
Kind of start absentmindedly unbuttoning the buttons on my coat. I think I'm expecting that the food that comes in is going to be quite substantial, and I'm preparing myself.
Getting ready for it. Rose, what are you doing? As the other two kind of talk and look over the pieces, how do you entertain yourself?
Did you say this? So this room has artifacts in it. Does it have books and stuff?
There are a couple books, but this doesn't appear to be a large dedicated library, although a house of this size will have one, just in another room.
Okay. In that case, I am amusing myself by perusing the artifacts and things in this room on display and just trying to get a sense for them.
Okay. You're just having a browse through them. Do you want to give me do you have the occult skill or otherwise a spot hidden to just have kind of a snoop, or is it genuinely just a vibe, just having a look around?
No, I'll give you a spot hidden.
Yeah, if you got it.
I would like to know things. I wanted a spot hidden in the garden. I didn't get one. It's fine.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, so I was.
You can have another. There'll be a chance for snooping.
I'm just double checking to see if I actually have any occult. I don't. So yeah, spot hidden it is. Hard success.
Nice. Okay. All right, you have a look throughout. So looking around the room, you can spot that there's one other thing I didn't state. There is a large fireplace in the center, and although the outside is fairly pleasant, inside it is almost swelteringly warm. And as Edward's unbuttoning the coat, might take it off. Looking around, you can see that there is a grand piano with a cigar placed on top of it, where someone was clearly playing it only recently. And the other thing of note is there is a large, heavy bust, which seems to be of the family patriarch, but it has been placed kind of oddly. There's a set of double-story windows that look out onto the rose garden with the curtains currently pulled back so that you can see the beautiful view. The bust has been turned so that it faces out towards the rose garden and kind of the direction you came in, so it would have looked at you as you came up the path. As you walk over to it and look at it, you notice that it looks like there's been some paint smudged on it or something. A little strangely, same color, it's black on black, but it's definitely been painted over it. And just as you reach to have a look at it, the door creaks open and you kind of turn around to, keep up airs of hospitality. Coming inside is an older woman, the wife of Jeremiah. She's got curled hair, which is very tightly kept together with one of those little maid hat things. She's got the dress and the apron and everything, boots that are like well polished but have clearly seen a lot of work, and she has this enormous grin glued onto her face as she comes inside and she goes, "Hello, I'm Rosemary, and it's very pleasant to have you all here this evening. Can I offer you any drinks or anything while you wait?"
That sounds fantastic. I'll bustle over to her to engage her in conversation. As I do, Dave, that grin was incredibly creepy. It might just be your face. Can I make a psychology check? Is there something up?
Yeah, go for it. Make a psychology roll. It is a little off-putting. Right.
Yeah.
May
This
I
was the-
also make a psychology roll for this?
Yeah, go for it.
I'll give you 3 points of luck to bring that to a success, Dave.
Okay.
This was the
Rose?
butler's wife who's come
That's
to
right,
service.
Rosemary.
Yeah.
I'll hold on that one. That's fine.
Okay. All right. So
Go with this woman seems off-putting.
it is a little off-putting. It seems like, but as she continues to talk through it, she's just like, it's definitely something she puts on for guests to like be like, yes, I'm very very happy, all positive, blah blah blah. Edward, you get a sense that she really is just. It's not necessarily about pleasing, but this is just like her default state is to go straight into this like really kind of like overly attempting to please. That said, it is unnerving, and you don't really understand how she could like hold this face forever, and you just like have one of those like weird like pictures where you're like, does she like this with her husband when they're just like in their own quarters? It's just kind of odd. And then she pushes forward, she like puts down a small tray with like little tea cakes and things on it, and then says, drink orders.
A gin and soda if you have one.
Ooh.
Gin, yes, I can. I'm sure we can manage something like that. Yes.
Now that I know that you've broken the ice by asking for the prohibited alcohol, I will also place an order for, I say, I'll have the same.
Prohibited? What?
We're in prohibition.
Alcohol is given us by God. It is one of God's creations. How could a good Christian
not
country
prohibited in
outlaw
the
such a
UK.
thing?
Yeah.
It's also
Outrageous.
not prohibited to people who are wealthy enough to have their own import-export business and things. It'd almost certainly be reserves around here. It's a pretty safe guess.
Oh, wonderful. I
for
think
you,
my stag.
miss.
Just water, thank you.
Water. Yes, we can do that.
Yeah.
Sir?
Thank you.
I will have the same.
Very well.
Gin and sodas
Do
all
that,
around.
And I'll be back with it shortly. And she turns about and heads outside. You can see Jeremiah has gone into like has gone up a set of stairs, and coming down them is the patriarch, followed by the daughter, who is a little older than she looks in the picture where she's graduated. She's sort of like 23. He's probably in his 40s, pushing 50s. They come into the room and introduce themselves as Augustus Wayland and his daughter Veronica. Augustus is a very large, like powerfully built man, and he immediately like walks over, shakes everyone's hand. Hello, how do you do? Welcome to my home. And then sits in a large chair and clearly holds court. He is the father of the realm. And it's sort of expected to like, I will entertain you with interesting stories, and you will do the same to me. His daughter heads over to sit on the piano where she faces away from it, but she does occasionally like idly plink 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 playing a little beautiful tune. She is very charming and quite beautiful, although she has a slightly distant look in her eyes. The father sits down and he says, "Well then, so what brings you to my small domain on such a charming afternoon, I should say?"
Well, as it happens, I suppose fate, fortune, who can say? Our car broke down just on the road, so it's a chance accident. We were rather hoping that we might be able to spot a small amount of gasoline, I believe is what you call it, from your garage, and then we'd be much obliged and make it to our destination. I'm so sorry, Jacob Fairfax of England, you know.
Yes, a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Carefax. I'm sure we could can find some gasoline around here and you can get your automobile up and puttering away. You'll need a fair bit to get out of here. We're a little off the well-trodden path. We like the quiet and the peace that it brings, don't we, Veronica? And she's sort of like, ding, ding, ding. Yes, it's very pleasant out here. It's very quiet. And she looks out the windows, gazing across the rose gardens. Rosemary returns inside and places drinks into each of your hands. There's a large pitcher of water and cups for everyone. Jacob and Edward, as soon as you go to sniff the drink, it doesn't smell right. It smells just kind of like empty and vapid. Do you give it a sip?
It would be rude not to.
Absolutely.
As soon as you sip it, you have to like fight not to just immediately it right back in.
Oh my God.
It tastes like bathtub water. Like there's no gin in it, but it's not even like it's trying to be gin. It's just like vaguely dirty water. Although it looks to be playing the part. It's got little ice cubes in it. It's got a little lime wedge on the side speared on an ornamentary toothpick. It's playing the part, but it's just completely wrong. How do both of you react?
With dignity.
This is delicious. It's fantastic. The difficult to come across in this country. Do you make it yourself? Do you sauce it? It's just wonderful. Can I make a charm check as well in general? Just I'm trying to get a really good vibe.
Play the part. Make a charm roll. Jacob, how are you reacting?
2 points on
with dignity, with quiet dignity. I won't comment on it.
Okay, you just sort of sip it and then put it
It's probably
back
a
down to finish
cultural
later.
thing. Yeah, it's just they must make American gin different to English gin. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, you are able to. You're very charming. You sip it and you fight it back, swallow the drink and put it down, and you entertain them. Rosemary did kind of, as she put it down, she seemed a little nervous as she placed it, and then she goes, "Oh, good, yes." Master Augustus has his stores, and I believe he ships it in from elsewhere in the state. I'm so glad you find it to your liking. We have much more where that came from. And she gives you like a little smile over the grin, and then takes the tray up and departs. Augustus makes a vague gesture and goes, yes, we import it from here and we export it to there. I'm so glad you enjoy it. Yes, we have some fuel, which I'm sure you can find. I'll ask Jeremiah to have a look in the garage. One of you might be so good as to escort him there. He's older now, and if there's anything heavy that needs lifting, you'll be able to help him out with it.
I will immediately volunteer because I want to get a look at that car.
Okay.
And I mentioned that. I'm, asking about his stories, his business. I mentioned the car is amazing. Now, how's that chandelier and this lovely drink? I might have another sip.
Yeah, he's very taken by you, and he's clearly a person who enjoys hosting events and parties and things. So he gets right into it, like exchanging short stories and anecdotes and so on and so forth. Jacob, you're sitting a little bit quietly, and Rose, how are the two of you interacting here?
I think Rose is just smiling and nodding and really curious why their two companions are reacting so poorly to their drinks. Perhaps I'll look into that in a little bit.
Okay. Your water, for what it's worth, is perfectly fine. It's crisp, clear, perfectly chilled, and very pleasant. It doesn't seem to be anything amiss. So
I will crack on to Mr. Wayland.
yes, Mr. Augustus Wayland.
Mr. Wayland, I have to say, it's an American accent again. Mr. Wayland, I have to say, perhaps it was more than lack of gasoline that brought us to. I can't help but think there's a fortuitous accident that's brought us together. You seem to be in the export-import business. Is that right?
I am tried and true, sir.
Excellent. Well, I happen to represent the Fairfax textile mill in Derbyshire, England. As it happens, I'm on a bit of a secondment as part of the sales and textiles.
Textiles,
yes,
you say. They do import-export as well, do they not?
Well, yes, we are a textile mill, and we do tend to export them.
This is fortuitous.
I thought the same. I wonder what is the textile scene here in the New World, and
To say thrilling is an understatement. Allow me to entertain you, sir. Do you want to try and are you trying to tee up a business deal here?
Absolutely. If he has customers who want textiles and I can supply the textiles, then it's a good time.
If I can add some additional, thoughts here while you're intermingling your businesses, if you are unmarried, he has a very eligible daughter with some skills on the piano.
It's cut straight
It's the
to
1920s.
marriage.
We'll
I
enter
mean-
that into the bargain.
I mean, he is from Derbyshire, which is where Mr. Darcy is from, Pride and Prejudice, so that would make a lot of sense.
Ooh, how very proper.
I have a wife and 3 children.
Oh,
Just check my character sheet.
deals on.
What's a second
yes, I have
small
my-
wife in the States?
One for each side of the Atlantic.
I have my winter wife and my summer wife.
All right, excellent.
But if they're they're in the same hemisphere, don't mind me.
So you begin. Do you have a skill you'd like to roll, Mr. Jacob Carafax?
I can be quite persuasive when I want to be.
Give me a persuade roll.
I think that's where I'm at.
I hope.
Yeah. Oh, unless credit rating would come in handy here.
Yeah, credit rating, absolutely. Yeah, this is teeing up business stuff. Oh, he's good.
Hard
Yeah.
success.
Okay, so first of all, Augustus seems very open to it. He's a businessman and a very successful one. He says numbers to you that you think he's practiced these. He goes low, you go high. There's a meeting in the middle at some point. It's all very exciting and completely dull to everyone else from what I can see. You pick up a few things just from your keen and cunning insight. One, his numbers are out of date. He's referring to things like a few years ago, and seems to be like a little bit behind the times, which is a little strange for how his acumen. And B, you're beginning to get the impression that, like, at first you might be even offended that, like, because it seems as if he's putting this on a little bit, like he's overselling it, like it's a little one-dimensional. But it doesn't seem like he's making fun of you for it. He seems to genuinely want your business. So it's just kind of like a weird read from this. Eventually, he kind of says, like, look, here's my number. Make sure you give me a call. Let's talk about this further. I'm very interested in talking more about this business. At this point, the Jeremiah returns and will, be given the asked to go and fetch the gasoline. And Edward, you sort of hop up and say, I'll come with you. And he goes, yes, very good. And we'll begin to bustle out. Veronica will move. She's sort of like sitting there. She'll engage you in conversation, Rose, if you're not like immediately drawn off elsewhere.
I was planning to talk to her anyway.
Okay, perfect. So Jacob's kind of talking. Edward, you get up and begin to walk outside. And Veronica, leaning on the piano, looks over to you and says, do you play?
I'm checking my art and craft skill. I actually don't think I have it on here. So, no, I don't actually. But you play lovely.
Oh, thank you. It's a habit I picked up when I was studying. It's a good way to clear my mind before large projects, endeavors, if you will.
If you don't mind my asking, where did you study and what did you study?
I went to the Miskatonic, not far from here. I studied history and anthropology. But of late, my interests have been drawn to other more current matters. And she looks out through the window, gazing kind of middlingly into the distance.
Psych, please.
Go for it. Immediately, though, you do get the impression like it's weird, like just straight out the bat.
Yeah, you can have 7 points of luck,
Okay.
so I can understand what the fuck's going on.
She seems to be completely drawn away and focused on something, like something's occupying her mind. Some like current endeavor or issue is definitely dominating. She's very single-minded at the moment, and she seems to be. She does appear to be reaching out to you in a way. She's kind of like trying to draw you into the conversation. She wants to talk about it, is the impression that you would get.
More recent matters, something something around the estate?
Yes. Did your and she's sort of talking to you confidently at this point. Jacob and Augustus are ruff, 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 ruff in the distance, and it's just the two of you. She says, "Did your are your parents well?"
Yeah. Last I spoke to them, well, yes. I mean, I can see your father's here. Is your mother around?
My mother died, unfortunately, shortly after I was born. My father's never quite been the same. Do you believe in an afterlife? In something that comes after we die?
Well, I mean, the Bible teaches us that there is an afterlife. If you have lived a good, upstanding life and tried to help others, you will go to heaven and be by his side. And if you don't, then, well, you try. You try.
She, as you mentioned the Bible, and as you talk to her, she reaches forward and she like takes your hands and she like leads you so that you're both sitting facing away from the piano but looking very closely at one another. It's like quite intimately close. The whole world around you is kind of like shrinking, and all you're looking at is her face in front of you. It's very pale and beautiful with little makeup and blonde hair that's like perfectly curled so that it's all you can see, and everything in the distance seems to like shift out of focus. She looks at you. She says, "The Bible, yes, you've read it, you've studied it. Do you believe in guardian angels, spirits that watch over each of us individually, tasked with our care?"
I mean, there are angels mentioned in the Bible, and God watches over all of us, so it stands to reason that perhaps there are, he tasks his angelic horde to watch over some of us when we need extra care, but for the most part, it is God who's watching us.
She's moving closer and closer so that her face is inches away from yours. You can smell her breath and it's sweet, like mint and strawberries. And she says, "We all have a spirit tasked to us. They watch over us. They keep us safe. We have only to find them and ask them for help." And at this point, Augustus goes, "Ho, ho, 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 ho. What an amusing anecdote." And he claps Jacob heartily on the back. And the kind of the illusion is snapped, and you kind of like step back, and Veronica kind of like draws herself out of it and turns around and begins to just play at the piano. Augustus says, "Well, listen, while your friend is looking about the estate for fuel and things for your automobile, please feel free to explore and take the time. It's a lovely afternoon. We wouldn't want you to be put out and have your day ruined by unfortunate circumstances. The house is yours. Feel free to wander where you will and enjoy your time. I will ask that you respect our privacy and don't journey to the second floor, except the lavatory is up there, the bathroom. So if you need to relieve yourselves, it's up there first or on the left. Ask anyone and they'll be able to find it. I have some business matters to attend to, and Veronica, you have your studies." And she nods and steps up and she goes, "I'll be in the library if any of you have any questions or would like to talk further." And they begin to scatter. So as we step away from this, Augustus seats himself in this same room, standing here with like business folders and things like that, and pieces through them. Veronica wafts away to the nearby library and sees herself there studying. The Rosemary is in the kitchen preparing, and Edward and Jeremiah are currently heading out towards the garage. Oh no. All right. What does everyone want to do?
Well, if the weather's nice, perhaps a short sojourn around the garden to stretch your legs after all that business chat.
Okay, so you can head out to the garden.
If you don't mind, Mr. Carfax, I'll accompany you, and perhaps we
Please.
can go and check on Mr. Diop, as well.
Delightful.
Okay, grand. I'm just gonna pull up my Roll20 stuff, but in the meantime, all right. So Edward, you and Jeremiah head out through the garden and towards the garage, traipsing through the rose bushes, and getting to the large, heavy barn doors. As you pull them back, you can see inside there is the large automobile, as well as several like workbenches where there'd be like tools for tending to the garden and just general, upkeep and whatnot.
Upon seeing this automobile, every thought of gasoline goes completely out of my head, and I do a big and start looking it up and down. This is fantastic. And I don't touch it, but I'm getting real close to it. It's like being face to face with Veronica. I'm inches away from the car.
Creepily close to the vehicle. You can see your own reflection. It is well loved. It's polished to a sheen.
I thought you meant his reflection.
As you look at it, Jeremiah will say, this is Mr. Wayland's pride and joy, one of his great loves in life. It is well cared for, and you're free to examine it as you please. Actually, the keys are only over there, and he points to where they are. Feel free to get inside and get the feel for it if you'd like.
Thank you so much. I will absolutely do that. I will get inside and I say, it is Mr. Wayland is so lucky to have a beautiful child like this.
You say that, and there's no response.
Hello, Jeremiah, and I'll stand up. Is he there?
You're like in the car, and you like crack the door and look out, and there's no one inside the garage with you. The door is slightly ajar still, and outside you can see the rose bushes twisting slightly in the wind. When you seat yourself back down and like look over to your right, suddenly there's a figure sitting in the passenger seat of the car. It's a woman wearing a white wedding dress with long black hair, drenched completely wet, and her eyes are slick with black looking blood which weeps down towards it. Her mouth is open and filled with crooked and black teeth. Her fingers are elongated and twist into sharp black claws at their point, and she looks at you for a moment and goes and then it's like snaps, vanishes. Can you please make a sanity roll? But the figure is immediately missing, and you're back in the car again. Jeremiah is nearby, is going, I'm sorry, sir, what did you say?
Oh my god, that is absolutely terrifying. I will make a sanity check. That is an extreme success.
Take 1 point, but the figure has immediately vanished, and you're not even sure that you saw it. You actually no. You saw something weird, but it's like that immediate, like, what the fuck? And Jeremiah is like leaning across you, going like, I'm sorry, sir, what did you say?
I was just saying, it's a lovely car, and I will get out now. I'll shut the door pensively. As I get out, the seat next to me appears to be completely untouched. Right, there's no trace of I'll sort of lean against the car as I presume Jeremiah goes and starts grabbing for fuel or whatever, grabbing a jerry can, and I'll ask him, how did if you don't mind me asking a personal question, how did the lady of the house, how did she pass away?
Oh, it was some time ago. I'd have to think of it. And as he's doing this, he's like going through jerry cans, and each one he lifts seems to be empty. He puts it back, unfortunately not. Or he's like just unscrewing them and looking inside. He goes, some time ago. It was an accident. I'm quite sure. I can't remember quite. Why can't I quite remember? I'm sorry. I don't think there's any fuel in here at all. I think all of these are quite empty. I'm very sorry.
Can I psychology test that? Sorry to interrupt you. Can I psychology test that interaction to see if he's had some kind of like mental break or mental block there? It's a hard success.
He's definitely that was like it seemed like the more he thought about it, the more he kind of lost his track, and then it was almost like he snapped back to rails, and went right back to the previous stuff. And it's like you never ask it. He doesn't acknowledge the question from that point on. He just goes straight back to like, I'm sorry, I can't find any fuel for you. There might be some in the rolls. If you like to, you can my back and everything, but you could try and move under it and find the cap to unscrew it. So there may be some in there. Otherwise, there is the basement. I could ask Rosemary to have a look once she's finished preparing dinner.
Why don't you go to ask, and I will have a look. I will have a look at the rolls.
Right, I'll be right back. He excuses himself, and you begin to get down and have a look. Rose and Jacob, you were both going to head out into the garden. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Jim?
I'm actually not going to look. I'm going to double check the cans that he picked up.
Okay. All right, you immediately head over to the cans?
Yeah.
Matt, give me... first of all, you immediately open them, and they appear to be empty. Seems like he
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that he wasn't picking up like full cans and being like, oh, they're all empty. Okay.
Yeah,
In which case, I probably do go to the rolls.
Okay, you head over to the rolls. Rose and Jacob, you were heading out into the garden, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Where are you heading? What are you doing? Just having a wander?
Just a stroll. Yeah,
Okay.
leisurely stroll.
All right. Rose, sorry.
I was just gonna, as we get out and a little ways away from the house, I will turn to Mr. Carfax and just say, Mr. Carfax, you don't have any kind of odd feelings about this family, do you?
Well, now that you mention it, Mr. Wayland was a little bit out of sorts as far as running his business goes. I got the impression he hasn't been giving it too much attention in recent years, but, well, judging by the photographs, I dare say that could be due to the passing of Mrs. Wayland. It would make sense, wouldn't it, that once one's wife passes away, one becomes distracted in their business ventures. But hopefully another pretty young thing comes along and sets him straight again.
How many years out of date would you have said he was?
A few?
Just because I was speaking to Monica, and she seemed to say that her mother died around the time that she was born, which would suggest a number more than a few.
What was the impression I got there?
Yeah, sorry, my mic chucked a hissy. You got the impression of... I was using the subtitles to keep tabs on what you're saying.
Good luck with that.
It would be like quarterly. It would have been like a year or 2 years, maybe. Not super out of date.
Right,
Enough
gotcha.
that you could be like, maybe he went on like a vacation for a season or two and just lost track of like something recent.
Yeah, gotcha. All right. Maybe not quite so much as that. Yes. Well, either way, it should prove quite a good business deal for the both of us. I won't bore you with the details, but suffice to say, we could both be making an awful lot of money.
Well, that is quite exciting. Do you believe in God, Mr. Carfax?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Again, Miss Veronica seemed a little adamant about guardian angels.
Well, there's all sorts of strange ideas floating around universities these days. Who knows what the young people are coming up with? Occultism and, it's in fashion, I understand, to come up with these supernatural ideas that don't quite align with the good book. Anything in particular that troubled you?
Oh, I mean, that she said that there were guardian angels that we each had and we had to find, which, look, I don't mean to speak out of turn, I am just a student, but her state of mind seemed a little off, if you take my meaning.
Well, perhaps a trauma of losing one's mother at such a young age may indeed impact one's view of the supernatural and angels and whatnot. But well, she's very clearly well looked after, and she's got a good education, so I'm sure that she will be fine.
What was wrong with your drink? I just noticed you and Mr. Diop didn't seem to enjoy what you were drinking very much.
Oh,
My water was fine.
well, I assume American gin is a bit different to what we have over the pond, as it were. It was a little bit off. Yes, I suppose that's all there is to it.
I'm sure you're right, Mr. Carfax. Shall we? These roses are quite lovely.
Delightful.
All right. You continue your little walk through the plots, and as you're talking, there's little birds and things flitting about, and it is very, very pleasant. You do a full little circuit, passing the mausoleum, the well, and heading now towards the garage. As you're going, you can't help but notice that your shadows underneath you are playing along the rose bushes as the sun is beginning to set behind you and darkness approaching. And suddenly, with a short gasp, Jacob, you take a step back as you realize that there is a third shadow stalking along the ground behind you, twisted and elongated. But when you look backwards, there's nothing to cause it. And when you look down again at the ground, the shadow is gone, and it's just the two of yours once more. Can you please give me a sanity roll? You're good? No points, you're good?
I sure can.
Okay.
I probably could have used that for elsewhere, but that's all right.
Okay,
Mr.
nope,
Carfax,
seems
are
all right.
you all right?
Yes, of course. As the hour grows long, shadows tend to play tricks on one's eyes. I think I'm quite all right now.
Fine.
So,
If we have passed the mausoleum, sorry, I did mean to do this as we were
course.
walking around. I would like to kind of, depending on how close it is and if it seems appropriate to go up and get a bit closer, I'd like to see if there are any names listed on it, if there's anything interesting about it.
yeah, so...
Generally interested in the grounds currently.
Yeah, 100%. Let me just check if this is going to work. Yep. All right, so let me throw us all to the Roll20 view. So you should now be able to see this is the layout of the exterior. Clearly the house is the big thing in the middle. Then the garage is in the top left, the well in the very north, and the mausoleum is in the top right. And I presume you guys have done a little circuit patrolling the perimeter. So you will be passing the mausoleum, then the well, and towards the garage finally. As you get to the mausoleum, it is a tall white... Sorry, not tall. It's like a square white stone structure with a domed roof. The entrance down into it has two tall iron gates which close it, but they are not locked. There are winged statues, clearly depictions of angels, on either side of the doors, and carved into the roof would be the Wayland family mausoleum. Inside you can see deep, cold darkness down the stairs. There are no names engraved up here. They would take their dead down to inter them.
I'm not going to
It is not
trespass. No, I don't think it's appropriate to trespass in someone's family mausoleum unless we've been given permission to. So I will note what I noted and continue my walk.
If it is anything, you have been given indirect permission. You've been told you can go anywhere but the rooms on the second floor. Just it's how Rose interprets that. It was a mausoleum is definitely a private place, so it's if you want to be cheeky.
No.
Okay.
Rose is, I think, sometimes not very good with social. Well, apparently, she just goes. Stealing is a thing you could do if you wanted to, but
She's just aware
I
that
don't
stealing's
think
a thing.
I don't think that's it's very innocent. She's just if you wanted to, you could in this sense, but we shouldn't because it's bad. Obviously, just automatic assumption that no one would do such a thing.
Yep.
So.
All right, perfect. Okay, you pass the mausoleum, past the sort of fallen down well, and then as you're getting towards the garage, Edward, you're just crouching down to have a look at the car when...
I actually wanted to make a point there. I don't really want to get... I just saw what I presume to be a strange, drowned bridal spirit of some sort.
If you
I'm
believe
a
in
little
that sort of
on
thing,
edge,
sure, man, whatever.
I know exactly what I saw. And I would like to, after I check the cans quickly, and then I'm going to walk to the door and just make sure that Jeremiah is not about to come back. And then...
So, as you get to the doors and look out, you can see Rose and Jacob rounding the well and heading in the direction of towards you. There is no sign of Jeremiah.
Okay, fantastic. In which case, I will go to join them in just a second. But first, I'm going to shut I won't shut the door. If there's no sign of Jeremiah, should I be able to see him, considering he left relatively recently? Like, there's no way for him to have gone. Yeah, that's totally bizarre. There's an easy way for me.
He would have had to move pretty bloody fast to get out of your eyesight this quickly.
We've established that he's old and doesn't move so good, according to the head of the household. I'm not getting under the car because that feels pretty unsafe. I start it. I have the keys. Does it start?
You get into the car and turn the keys, and this will be when Rose and Jacob are approaching. The engine does not start. And as you look at it and give it a tap, the fuel gauge is at empty.
I will get out and shut the door and turn to the other two. And I think I'm looking a little tense. So there's something very strange happening here.
Something strange?
I had, I think, look, can we go for a walk quickly? I will explain everything. There's something I want to check quickly.
Of course, are you quite well, Mr. Diop?
I'm a little stressed, actually, but I'm quite well, physically. Let me explain. Come, and once we start walking, unless either of the two of you have any objection, I will explain essentially what I saw, saying, I went in, I got into the car, I saw what seemed like a spirit for a second. I was terrified. I then asked about the death of the previous lady of the house, and Jeremiah appeared totally bizarre as a result. There's no fuel. Jeremiah also appears to have vanished. And I would like to lead us on a beeline towards the well. And I would say the whatever I saw, the fragment, the shadow, the echo, I feel like it was covered in water. And there's a well here. I just want to probably a long shot, but if there's broken tiles or something, I don't know. I don't know.
Monsieur, some people do tend to have adverse reactions to garages with the smell of motor oil and gasoline lingering. Do you happen to have a headache at all?
If I have a headache, it's because of that awful gin.
Oh, it wasn't what it was meant to taste like then.
No, it tasted nothing like gin. You had it as well. You knew it was awful.
Yes, I assume gin's made a little bit differently according to which continent you're on.
I drank a lot of gin in Paris. I drank a lot of gin here.
Regional specialty, perhaps.
I know this is probably silly, but I'm not terrible with chemicals and the like. Perhaps if we can get some of the gin, if it's still there, I can take a look at it and see maybe what was in it.
Sorry, after you.
Well, I really don't want to be difficult guests here. We are at the Waylands' mercy. They are lending us gasoline. They are entertaining quite lucrative business proposals. Not everyone is so receptive and hospitable. I hardly think now is the time to be poking around unnecessarily. That's all.
Listen, I understand you want to be sensible here, but they have no gasoline, first of all. And secondly, we're not poking around. We've been given permission. I'm just looking at the well. There's nothing wrong with this.
I completely agree. Based on your description of the shade you saw, the well would be my thought as well.
I would love to get into the Mausoleum and just see the grave of Her Ladyship, but I think that might be prying.
There were angels carved in the doors of the mausoleum, which, given Miss Veronica's insistence that we have angels watching over us, I'm starting to think that maybe there's some kind of connection there.
Have you shared what you were told by by Veronica with us?
Yeah, I mean, I shared it with Carefax already, but I would say, like, if you're sharing this, then
Yeah.
assume a summary has been given
Great,
to you
great.
as well. Yeah.
If you catch me up to date, then I will mention we saw a cigar on top of the piano. Someone has been playing it. If Veronica plays before big things happen, then maybe something big is going to happen.
You know, I do think it's awfully odd that you'd face a bust towards a window.
I don't understand the significance of that, but
Well, most of the time, if you have a bust of someone of the family, you would face it into the room so that you could see the face. You know, it's a presentational thing. It's like a portrait. Why would you turn a painting towards a wall? Why would you turn a bust towards a window?
I suppose you're right. I gather that there was no love lost. I thought that less paintings, maybe it's a painful memory, or maybe there was some. Anyway, I think the well is good to look at. I think we should.
I assume we're already kind of heading
Yeah.
in the direction
I
of
was
the
going
well.
to
That's my
say,
assumption.
at this point, you arrive at the well. It is a small brick affair with little wooden poles for a small, like, short and sharp roof. There is a rope at the highest point, but there is no bucket, and it has been boarded up with wooden planks atop it, although many are rotten, and you can see down into the darkness, where you get the impression of humid and sort of rotten fungal, like, depths far down below.
Is the rope, like, is there a
It's
hole
up.
for the rope to go? Oh, it's so the whole thing we
It's
can
up,
see.
yeah,
everything.
and as it was sealed, it wouldn't be able to fit a bucket down or anything.
Can I like stick a little finger in through one of the cracks of the wood, and just run my finger along the inside of the well? And as I draw it out, have a look at the schmutz that has accumulated. Does it remind me at all of what appeared to be, covering the dirt, the filth that was on the spectre I saw?
Do you have a natural world skill or anything like that?
I have biology.
That would definitely apply. You can
Yeah,
do that.
I share this theory, and I kind of hold out my hand towards.
Okay, so Edward and Rose. Okay.
May I have a
I
go?
would say, given I didn't have first-hand knowledge, like I didn't see it, it's like I can't tell you if this is anything other than just mold.
Yeah, and you also can't, because it's based on a description, with that alone, you can say this is the sort of thing that could occur in a well. Not necessarily out of place, it seems kind of in keeping. You can't draw any conclusions from it. So you two are
I
doing
could
that.
have a go with
Jacob, what are you
Natural
doing?
World. I could have a go at the same with Natural World.
Yeah.
So three of you are kind of working together on this.
You
Okay.
need a hard.
Hey, there we
I
go.
can get you a hard.
What
Success.
you can get from that is this appears to be you're fine as is. This seems to be in keeping with a well that has been sealed for quite some time. This place probably hasn't been opened, and the impression of the wood beginning to give way. And also, I think there's probably just not many paths around here. Like, this is not a well-tread area. This place is kind of avoided. As this is happening, and as the two of you are looking, Edward, you do like the first scrape and then pull it up and show it to the others. Rose, you have a first look, can't draw any conclusions. And then Jacob, you and Edward talk a little bit about what he kind of saw, and then you're like sharing your theory on the well. Rose, you feel a tickle on the back of your neck as warm breath like brushes across its back, and your spine raises. You hear, and then suddenly there are hands on the back of your shoulders. You are plunged forward and over the top of the well. Can you please give me a dexterity roll?
Oh my god.
What?
I would also like to say that in keeping with good. Oh god, there's a spider crawling up the back of my neck. I like yelp as soon as I feel that. Yeah, there's like an
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like, so it absolutely would be like a scream of get it off
Hell yeah.
before getting shunted. Dexterity, you say?
Yes, please.
Very good. 30.
Okay. You are like pushed forward and you tumble towards the edge. You're able to
hard
catch it like the
success.
rope. Yeah, you're able to like catch at the rope and the side and stop yourself from going over. As you finish the scream, can you give me a sanity roll? But as you like stumble back and look about, there's nothing there. There's no sign of anything that pushed you. And Jacob and Edward, you both look up with a start as Rose screams, and there's no one here. Take a D3 sanity loss, please, Rose. You've screamed from the doorway in the distance. You see like the back door open, and Rosemary looks out after the scream, still grinning, and you can just hear the call from, "Is everything all right?"
I'm kind of looking across frantically between the chaos around me, and then acting on a completely instinctual theory, I motion for her to come over.
She like brushes her hands down, puts down like the knife and the carrots that she was chopping, heads out the door and begins to bustle across the gardens. But you have there's a short period as she winds through them before she'll reach the three of you.
Okay, I go. I kind of make sure that Rose is okay, and
No, I'm fine. I must have tripped or something.
Sorry, I called her over. I thought maybe they couldn't leave the house or something. Jeremiah appeared to vanish as soon as he left the door.
That's disconcerting.
Yeah, well, at least she is somewhat. We'll send you back with her, maybe. Ask her to get you some gin. You can take a look at it.
Oh yeah, yes, that's a good idea. I may stay with people who don't have a propensity to disappear. That's all right.
Yes. Well, perhaps two of us should go back, and one of us should check the mausoleum in the quiet.
I think
Alright.
that's a terrible idea.
Well,
I think we should stick together, at least for now. I can always ask for gin because of the shock, and I'm sure she'll bring it out to us.
I guess yes. We won't
At
have
this-
long.
At this point, Rosemary finishes winding through and comes up to you. She's got that grin plastered across her face, her hands like primly held in front of her, and she comes scurrying up and she says, "Yes, I'm sorry. Is there anything I could do to help? I heard a scream."
Oh, I just had a nasty shock. I hate to be a bother. Could I have some gin? I think it would help settle my nerves.
Oh, yes. Not a problem at all. Shall I bring it out?
If you don't mind. Thank you.
Yes, I've just finished preparing dinner as well, so excellent timing. She turns to you, Edwin. Did you and Jeremiah have any luck finding any gasoline?
He said he was going to speak to you about trying to find some in the basement.
Oh, yes, silly me. He did mention that. I'll have a look soon. I've just finished preparing dinner. Listen, the sun's setting and it's going to be getting dark soon. Mr. Wayland's actually entertaining some dinner guests who'll be here shortly, and he's extended the invitation to the three of you to join us for dinner. Given that no gasoline's been found, and given that it's a rough road to drive through at night, you're more than welcome to stay with us.
well, if no one's engagements have any pressing needs, I think that would be delightful.
Excellent. I'll set the table for three more. I'll bring a
This
gin
is
out to you,
good.
Miss Rose.
I don't mean to pry, but you've been with the family for a while, yes?
Yes. Sometime.
Do you, Miss Veronica mentioned that her mother, is no longer with us. Do you know what happened to her?
Oh, mother. Mrs. Wayland. Yes, very, very sad. I seem to recall it. And the grin's becoming like strained as it's like
Ugh.
tugged up, but her eyes are like flitting about rapidly as she tries to recall. But like Jeremiah did, as she follows the tread, it begins to weaken, and then she snaps back and she goes, 3 more places and a gin, and then she begins to like head back towards the house. Edward?
And I have interrupted in that moment it's like when you throw a ball and it's like at the peak of its arc. And can I have said she fell in the well?
Can you give me I need persuasion, I think.
All right.
Or if you're going for charm, I don't think it's charm. It's not really trying to be. It's trying to get information through. I think it's persuade or something like that.
Would I be able to make an argument for I've seen this happen before for someone, and it's sort of trying to push a specific button. I'm not necessarily trying to get information as much as seeing how far I can push this. I'd like to argue psychology.
Oh yeah,
It's like I'm waiting for that exact moment and going boom.
I was also gonna say, if it helps, I was pushing, like, you told me what happened, so I was doing the exact same thing as you were planning on doing, and I do have a pretty decent persuade, possibly not as good as your psychology, but I'm, like, happy to roll if Dave is kind enough to give us a bonus for working together.
I would say, yeah, I think definitely a bonus dice. I think Ed would go for psychology, Rose assisting to take the bonus dice.
Okay, I'll take a bonus die. Here we go. Psychology coming up.
I'm gonna say it's probably hard.
All right, if
gets
it's going to
you
be
within-
hard, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
25? It's 15 points.
15 points. Take 15 points of my luck.
Okay. Taken. All right. As you try to intercept this and you're trying to like push her, you're saying it was the wells or something to do that. She's grinning and trying to find the track. Rose is assisting. And Jacob, you've been kind of a step removed from a lot of this. You've been able to kind of keep yourself, you're kind of like, this is normal. We're going to be at an event. You kind of look out and away and you can spot in the distance the sun setting behind the trees. You arrived here maybe half an hour, 45 minutes ago. And it was mid-afternoon. The night has fallen much too soon. The well behind you creaks ominously, and Rosemary, you can see her head beginning to like twist a little bit, and the grin gets wider and wider and wider as it wrenches back at her gums. And then she begins to go, "The well, yes. A frightful, nasty death. All an accident. The dark spirits can come and they can go. It only requires the appropriate rituals, but they're being worked on. Things will be set to rights tonight after the dinner party. Everything will return to normal and the spirit will be returned to rest." And then she twists around and marches back to the house in jerky, visceral movements. Away from you. All three of you need to make sanity rolls. And darkness has fallen. The only light still on are inside the house.
I didn't enjoy that.
As we make sanity rolls, I will reach up a large hand and I will reach up a large hand and I will slap Jacob on the back. I'll say, "You're right. Perfectly normal."
Okay, all right, everyone that succeeded, take a point. Everyone that failed, take a D4, please.
Oh, Rose is starting to take some meaty sanity loss.
Jacob Carfax does not give a fuck about anything.
Well, no.
Jacob Carfax is too busy
Carfax,
calculating
rather.
how much...
Hold on. If I at this stage, I would like to know exactly who it is. I have entered into a business deal, and if
you're thinking of all the money you might lose.
And if this company's reputation is one of dark rituals and curses and guardian angels of the dead, well, I'm afraid that that would have implications for our share prices. So yes, I'd like to get to the bottom of this now.
All right. Rose, with only 2 hits, not too bad. You're still giving it, but this is definitely obviously unnerving. Darkness has now fallen. There is a high moon which glimmers along the roses in the bushes. The well behind you creaks ever so slightly. There's the mausoleum in the garage, but the lights are still on in the house. Rosemary finishes her jerking motions, gets towards the door and closes it, and then you can see her silhouette inside the kitchen, just returning to normal, finishing the preparations for the meal. What are the three of you doing?
We could, we need to leave. We need to get out of here.
Well, no, we can't easily go stumbling out into the darkness now, can we? Look,
So what are you suggesting then? We need to stop them from doing some kind of ritual that is going to bring whatever ghost is haunting this place. We could, I don't know, we could go into the mausoleum and lock the doors. I presume they need access to a body or something, unless it's still, and I'll kind of lean over the well.
we don't know what we need to do, and we don't know what they're trying to do. I suggest we go to dinner. And we find out exactly who it is that they're inviting along and what they're planning on doing.
You couldn't. You're somewhat of a scientist, aren't you, madame?
I'm a medical student.
You couldn't figure out a way to synthesize some kind of new fuel for us to steal that voice and drive out of here?
No, but have we tried asking for a telephone?
It's not a bad idea. We can call the police.
Maybe the staff will be able to find us some gasoline in the basement as well. We have to investigate that route.
Seen that the staff they are planning something. I do not think they want us. They want us. I don't think they want us to leave.
I don't think we have a choice. But asking for a telephone will at least give us a very good idea of whether or not they do want us to leave or not, because if they have one and they don't let us use it, that's a problem. If they don't have one at all, that's odd. And if they have one and it doesn't work, that's worse.
We should ask. I think we should ask clearly. And as I assume you've pointed out the sort of time dilation thing that's going on.
You'd all notice it as soon as it's raised, yeah.
I think that this is why everything is out of date. The time here, I don't.
You're suggesting we've gone back in time?
I don't think back, but there's something bizarre going on. Is more the point. There is some strangeness. I think we should ask for the phone. If you are planning a ritual in your home and some visitors came and you are going to try and raise the dead, I would invite them to be around. I would say, sorry, I'm busy tonight. Tomorrow, maybe.
Unless, you need people.
Yes, unless I need to, put them on a table and stab them with knives a couple of times.
Do you think that's going to happen at dinner?
Yeah, not if I have anything to say about it.
I'd be really interested to have a look in their library, but I don't know that I should.
Look,
Library and Mausoleum, there's a lot to look at.
we are unassuming guests for the moment.
Speak for ourselves.
So now is the time to find exactly what it is we want to find.
All right. Monsieur Diop, Mr. Diop, I'm not in France. I don't think we should poke the staff, again, just for the moment until we're really sure we want to. I don't think we want them acting that way. It might hurt them.
Okay, I understand. So are we going straight to dinner, or are we going to try and find something first?
Well, I don't
If we
know
have time.
about...
If we have time to look in one place each, maybe we can find a little something and reconvene at dinner.
I'm awfully curious as to who on earth these people would be inviting as guests for dinner.
Okay.
Well, I might suggest one of us should look in the mausoleum. You said you wanted to take a look at the library or something. Maybe you can look inside. Jean might be coming for you as well.
Oh yes, I'll do my best to work out what on earth it is.
I would like to look in the garage again for a wrench.
Oh yes, I take your meaning. Do be careful.
And all of you as
On
well.
the other hand, perhaps someone should accompany Mrs. Linwood to the basement to look for gasoline, just in case, she has a hard time turning up any, if you see what I mean.
Oh, I assume that won't happen until after dinner. If she's the one preparing it, we probably have a little time to look around before any of us need to deal with that. I suspect.
Okay.
That's a good point.
So the idea is Edward's going to the garage. Rose and Jacob are heading back to the house.
Well, no. If we want to look in the mausoleum, then I will volunteer.
Okay.
And
A
I
good
will
man.
be going back to the house to...
Okay, Rose to the house.
guess-
Edward to the garage. Jacob to the
But the
mausoleum.
party!
Okay, let's do it.
Attached.
All right. So you make your plans and then all split up going in 3 different directions. Let's follow. Let's do Jacob first. So
balls.
as you all split off, Jacob, you begin to head over towards the mausoleum. The moon's quite high above it, and you can see it glinting off the white stone, but none of the light, even the reflected, seems to penetrate the darkness below. The iron gates have been shut, and they look like, sort of like rusty and rarely moved. They are not locked, however, and the 2 twin angels on either side have a far more sinister perception in the moonlight. Jim?
Can I just say, Jackson, you might be firing for 3 sessions, 3 character deaths as you venture alone into this mausoleum.
Who can say? Not I.
Running is always an option.
Okay, what are you doing?
You're opening yon door.
It's a proper...
Oh,
As you like drag it across the little cobbles and the stones, and there is no darkness below. Is Jacob the kind of man to carry a torchlight, like a little pen light or something? Do you reckon?
If there is such a thing, yeah, he's
Actually,
got
why don't
credit
you-
rating 70, so he's got all the cool little kind of traveling businessman accessories
Yeah.
that
You have
one
like a-
might need.
You have like a pocket one. It's still pretty hefty or something. You raise it out and click it on. It flickers, of course. And eventually a clapper and it catches, and you're able to it down into the darkness. You can see the stone set steps descend down and into the cold.
Nothing like on the ground level.
No, it's all
just a
underneath.
staircase.
Yeah, into the darkness.
I'm immediately regretting this decision, but I'm committed to it. In true English fashion, I will tamp down my apprehension and realize I've made a commitment, so I have to follow through with it. Stiff upper lip and all that.
And all that. You head down into beneath the ground, and it's freezing cold down here. Immediately, like, goose pimples begin to raise on your skin. You can't help but letting a shiver out. Every footstep echoes across the stones, and you're wearing those like sharp businessman boots, so it's like the click 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 as you descend. When you get into the bottom, it is an opened room, freezing cold. There are recesses in the walls where the dead of the Wayland family have been stored here for like years, quite a long time. And in the center, there is a single larger like sarcophagus almost, not like an Egyptian one though, like just like a stone box basically. And on top of it, engraved, is a figure of a statue of a woman sleeping with her hands clutched across her breast, wearing a bridal gown and with long beautiful hair that flows across it and down to the ground below. As you walk forward, click click, your shoes echoing on the floor as you get closer, but it's not the only sound. Somewhere just on the edge of a vision, you can hear of something scraping the inside of that coffin. Can you please give me a sanity roll?
Oh, no. We should have just all 3 of us gone to the mausoleum straight away, pushed off the lid and bonk.
Take a D3, please, Jackson.
I will take a D3 at once, sir. D3, here it comes. Just one.
Jake is a bloody legend. All right, what's your response?
Make sure the lid's on. Tight.
Okay.
If there's something large and heavy nearby, I would like to put it on top.
There is a heavy thing. It's the lid is probably the biggest one nearby. Going over to it though, it seems to be in place. There's no gaps along the side. But as you get towards it and you like push on it, it is ice cold, and it seems like wherever your hand is touching, the scratching is just behind it, separated by a few inches of stone. But you can hear like just like where your hand is as you pad along it.
No, thank you.
Yes, please.
You don't cheer.
Okay. So if there's
Figure shit
nothing
is great when it isn't happening to me.
there's nothing to secure the lid any further, I guess I'd like to leave and secure the door outside instead.
Okay. You head back the way you came, walking a little briskly, back up the steps, and you get to the doors. You can still think you can hear the clawing echoing from the depths behind you. What do you want to try and do to secure these doors?
I'm thinking like tree branches that I can use as like, you know, big old log, like a plank or something to put over as like a latch, but maybe I can't do that.
Should wedge a tree
So
branch in
something-
between the gate
Yeah.
pins.
Some kind of wedging nonsense. Yeah,
Okay.
wedging, securing, latching.
I'd probably need a mechanical repair or a survival or a similar role. There's not a ton of supplies here, so you're definitely improvising. If you're willing,
fantastic.
If you're willing to give up your torch and use that, I will give you a bonus dice. but you're losing the torch.
No, I'll go for some. I'll go for some wood, some planks, some tree branches, because I was brought up in the textile mill. I actually do have mechanical repair.
Oh, hey,
Plenty
great.
of it.
All right, go for mechanical
Fantastic.
repair.
Hell yes, the best skill.
We're almost we're 3/4 of the way through the first session. I think that's worth 23 points of luck
Yes,
to
welcome in.
to secure
Dude.
that.
Okay, what do you so you're in like a rose garden. There's not a ton of stuff around. There's a couple of like stuff from the well that you could grab, some of those old bits of creepy wood and rope and stuff. Otherwise,
Or I
if you have
could
another
push it.
or you could push it.
Or I could push it.
What about risking losing
I've-
your torch?
I've got the pushing, but I'm only going to tell you it's spooky bullshit. It's only going to happen when you commit to pushing it.
I am ready for the spooky bullshit.
Okay.
Line that up.
You have gotten up and out of the stairs when you notice that the scratching has stopped. You decide you're going to push it and you go back and redouble your efforts when you hear clicking coming up the stairs of something approaching from the darkness, and then it begins to start moving faster. Go for your pushed roll, but you can
Oh
hear
my
something
God.
running at you from the darkness.
Oh my god.
All right, you like get to it and you slam it shut. You've gotten like your belt off or something and you're wrapping it around the interior and locking it. Suddenly you see a shape emerging from the darkness, screaming towards you. You shut your eyes, close, like wrench the thing shut, turn and rush away. You hear something bang against the iron gates. It rattles twice and then it stops. By the time you can bring up the courage to look back again, there's nothing there. The gates are locked shut and someone's gonna have to send focused effort from the outside to get that back open again. It's pretty well jammed. All right.
Great.
Jacob turns, looks around and plots his next move as we go to Edward.
Straight into the garage, straight into where the car's like repair box would be or whatever, and I'm pulling out a large, heavy wrench that I can use as a weapon and slipping it into my coat.
Okay. Yeah, you could easily find something that you can use as like a large club going across the doors. Everything's in the dark now, and hardly seen. As you walk around, you can see for something you think in like the peripheral of your vision, caught in the reflection of the automobile, but you're not acknowledging it for the time being. You can find a large wrench and grab it. Are there any other supplies you think you'd like to take? Torches. There would be a couple of flashlights here that might be useful. There's no firearms.
Yeah, let's grab a single flashlight and get out of here.
Okay. All right. You grab that, and as you head back out, at this point, Jacob's just like, because you had a longer walk, we'll say, Jacob's just coming back up and re-securing it at this point. All right. Nothing more. So you can rejoin the others shortly. Rose. As you head across the moonlight dappled rose bushes, funnily enough, and head towards the back entrance, you can spot in the kitchen from here, you can see Rosemary, a lot of roses, is in the kitchen silhouetted, clearly like stirring a pot and like plating things for the meal. You also pass the library briefly, where you can see Veronica is sitting at a table with books scattered all around her, and she's writing notes in like a notebook. Where do you want to go?
I was going to the library, so that's where I'll
Okay.
head.
All right, I'm going to throw us to another bloody screen, and let me know if y'all can see this. You should be on it now.
That's it.
I'm going to throw the chat to it too. Okay. Damn, I thought I'd teed it up so you could see everything. So Edward and Jacob are outside at the moment. Rose, I'll just explore the area because you are aware of where all these things are. Through here's the kitchen. Through here's the library. Through here's some other stuff. Like just storage rooms and things. Actually, I can do it on this screen. Will let me do it much faster.
While you're doing that, I'll mention something. If you are going to tell me, Edward, I am Edward. If you were going to tell me, Jacob, that this zombie thing was trying to get at you and you've currently locked it in, Edward will probably suggest some kind of Walking Dead-esque, as it tries to reach through the bars of the, iron gates, that we go over there and like bash its head in now so that they can't summon it back. It seems like it's separated now. We have some kind of understanding of it. If it's still hovering at the dolls, maybe we can just, come here and then smash it in.
You are the sparrer, monsieur.
So you don't want to fight multiple people. If we can take it by
yes.
itself, we do that now. Maybe you head for the house, and I'll go and just check. Just check. Just see if it's still there.
No, I'll come with you. We should come in together, regardless of what happens.
We got to get back quickly, though. We don't want Rose to be by themselves for too long.
Quite.
So, are you two going to the mausoleum?
Yeah, we're darting back across the mausoleum.
Okay. All right. So in that case, you'll two will be heading back that way. As Rose, you head into the house. All right. You let yourself in through the back. As you walk in, you'd go via the kitchen. Rosemary has like a large, very pleasant smelling like pot of stew or something on the thing. There's also an oven with what looks like some sort of like roast or something that's just being removed. And there's plates which are being gathered that will be taken into the nearby dining room, which Jeremiah is occasionally darting in and out of to set for what looks like they're expecting the three of you, the Veronica and Augustus, as well as another like 6 or 7 people, like a fairly large party. It's a long table that's being set. Rosemary like nods as you come past, and then says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. The gin," and she'll get you a gin and tonic as well, which is passed you as you continue on and into the library.
Does she make it while I'm in the kitchen?
Yeah. She it seems like she like slipped her mind.
I'd like to see how she makes it, and with what.
So she would go into I think the library is where it's stored. So she goes into the library where there's like a liquor cabinet. Actually, no, sorry, it's in the dining room. She goes into the dining room where there's a liquor cabinet, one of those ones like little glass panels and everything, opens those out, gets a bottle of gin, retreats back into the kitchen where she has a like bottle of tonic water or something. She mixes it in front of you. There seems to be nothing strange about it. It seems to come straight from the bottle. The bottle is not like moonshine or anything. It's clearly been imported from overseas. And it's actually, funnily enough, after Jacob going, it's probably like a local thing, it appears to be English, where it came from. She mixes it for you, shot of this, mix of that, lime, bibbidi babbidi bam, and she hands it to you. Everything is done in front of your eyes. Nothing seems to have been tampered with. As soon as you smell it, it just smells weird. It smells like bathtub water or something. But she gives it to you, and she, not to worry. And then she returns to doing it as you step through and into the library.
I'll sort of, as a final thing, I'll be like, "That smells amazing, Miss Linwood. You must be an excellent cook." And then I'll.
Oh, I do try, and you'll have your chance to have some in very shortly. We're almost ready. I'll ring the bell when we're all prepared.
Well, thank you. Sorry, not to bother you any longer, but who is coming to dinner? I'm just curious. Who they are.
Old friends of Mr. Wayland, business partners and such.
Oh, I see. Well, I suppose I won't have much to talk to them about, but it should be pleasant dinner nonetheless. Thank you.
You head through and into the library and let her return to her work. So inside the library, it's this beautiful room, tall mahogany bookcases filled with books to the absolute brim. Clearly this collection is one of the prides of the house. Veronica is seated at a table in the corner, which has books scattered all across it, as well as a number of notebooks, which she's working through. What do you want to do? She does not look up immediately. She's like kind of like working.
The first thing I want to do is very like put a finger in the gin and just tap it on my tongue and be like, what does this taste like? Like a very tiny amount just to get an idea, i.e. poison testing.
Yeah, do you want to give me a what skill do you want to use?
Pharmacy?
Oh,
perfect,
yeah.
Perfect, yeah. Give me a pharmacy roll.
Oh, this is...
Genuinely take a bonus dice, because the other two have kind of like given you some information and such, and I think pushing it will be a big slug or something.
It's not showing bonus penalty for this one. Right,
just re-roll it if you want, yeah. Okay. This is not gin. This is nowhere close to gin. There is not a single quality that this shares with gin. This is something close to just like water from a bottle. They may have refilled it. Like it might be like we're out of gin, so let's just put water in it. But that seems like pretty out of character. This is a nice house. Why would they not have the basics? And why would they think they could pass it off to you and that you just go along with it? Like it doesn't really make much sense. But it is in no way gin. It's nowhere close.
When you say bathtub. Do you
Oh,
mean
no.
bathtub or do you mean well
Oh
water?
no.
When you say it like that,
Intelligence of 85.
the smell is not dissimilar. It may have been cleaned or something, but it is not at all dissimilar.
You.
Ah, yeah. Drinking dead body water. Ah.
I, like, as I walk in, I'll find a side table and just sort of put it down, and then
I'm done with that.
just not even like hopefully being nonchalant about it, and then I just like to take a look around and see what kind of books there are. I won't disturb Veronica. If she sees me, she talks to me, I'll talk to her, but otherwise I'm just going to peruse the library, because that's the thing I can do.
So I'll get you to make a library use check, but first just vibe. It's a very extensive and expensive collection. A lot of books are like first editions and things and leather bound. It covers a wealth of topics, of which there are two particular focuses. One is business bullshit, and the other is occult stuff, but specifically in the realm of religion. Clearly, it's an interest of the family. They cover all manner of religions, with a particular focus being Catholicism, Protestantism, and Judaism, being the dominant three. If you'd like to give me a library use roll, I can probably offer some additional information.
I would love to do that. You may have a library use roll. I'll take an
that's
extreme
good.
success on that too.
Not
That's
bad.
really good. Okay.
I am a student. I know how to use a library.
There you are.
Apparently.
Okay. So yeah, the information I've told you. Additionally, there are a couple of books missing from this collection, and they're kind of the big ones. There is missing a Torah, the Bible, and the Quran are all not here, and they are marked like the spots where they should be, so they're just gone. You also notice that the collection that Veronica is currently studying from are all of a similar persuasion, being tied to these religions. The religions are collected in that they are the three main Abrahamic religions. Is just something that you would know from that. And lastly, you spot something slightly strange. There is a statue on like a lectern, like what you put a book on to like read from or whatever, and it is facing away again, looking out the window across the garden. As you get towards it, it too appears to have been painted slightly along the front, only like a small smudge. This is placed behind Veronica, so it's like when you like go out to like look out the window a little bit that you notice it, and it's looking out again. As you finish like sort of having a look around and whatever, Veronica looks up from her studies, like takes a breath, like, you know, she just finished a passage or something, like takes a break, stretching her fingers, and says, I'm sorry I can't be more of a host. I'm busy. I'm working towards a large test, which I'm getting closer, but it requires a lot of study, and I have little time for other hobbies.
No
So
problem
she
at all.
graduated.
If you... Yeah, I picked that up too. If you don't mind, is that one of your great someone or others? And I point at the bust.
This one's actually, sorry, I need to give you extra information. Yes, this is the statue on the lectern this time is of an eagle with wings pushed backwards. So you could have just changed it. Sorry, I just totally forgot to say it.
Yeah, no,
so
that's
it's an
fine.
eagle. And she goes, no, that's a bird.
Oh no, she goes,
Oh!
Yes.
yes.
Sorry.
I will make a note. It's an eagle this time.
Yes.
In that case, no, I won't reference.
You
that.
could say
I'll
like,
just say,
was that owned by? Because it looks like a family heirloom or something, probably.
Yeah, I think I'll just be like, I'll just sort of say, you know, you've got a lovely collection here, and you know, is that particular statue like an heirloom? And do you mind if I peruse the library around you? Would that be disturbing to your studies?
She says no. Feel free to peruse the library. Once I'm in my work, I'm completely absorbed and quite hard to shake from it. When you mentioned the lectern, she looks over in the direction of the window quite curiously and almost surprised, and she goes, "No, I'd quite forgotten that was even. Sorry, I have to return to my studies. I'm really getting quite close to midnight approaches." And then she buries her head in the books and goes back to scratching.
I'm gonna go take a closer look. So when you said there's a smudge of paint along the base?
It's on like the front, like on the bird's like chest.
Oh, on the chest.
Yeah, and that's the part that's facing out the window.
I'd like
Or like
to
it's
go
looking.
I'd like to just go like I'd like to go have a look at it. If she stops me for any reason, I will not go look at it. I'll then just go back to perusing, but I'd like to try and have a look at it.
Okay. You go and look at the bird, and the paint is flaking slightly, and you can easily scratch a portion of it off with your nail. Doing so, which can easily be done subtly, reveals a symbol has been scratched into it, which I will now share in a cunning handout.
Ooh.
You should all be able to see this.
Yes.
And I'm going to show it to the chat. So you can see that symbol engraved on the front of it.
Is that looks like a knight from chess.
I was going to say the very same,
Either
but it's
that-
open and it's got
either
a
that-
nose.
Or it looks like a constellation. Because constellations are usually drawn with lines
Yeah.
and little circles for stars.
But the inner end ends in like a T. What's going on there?
I mean, I'm intelligent. Do I kind of know what this is? That's all I got.
Make an intelligence roll.
Oh, very good. You may have
Okay.
a hard success.
This is
Ooh.
not. You've rolled quite well. This is not something you immediately
Do
recognize.
I need an extreme?
No. I'm giving you information
Okay.
with this. This is not something you're immediately familiar with. It does not seem to be representing something particular. Actually, when you were studying, you had like a hobby or something, which was creating ciphers. And one of these is done by having a spread of numbers attached to characters, which can then be laid out in a grid, and then you can have it show what they are. So you can put words into symbols. This is cunningly close to one of those. And you believe this may actually be a cipher. However, without the code, like what to compare it to, there's no real way to translate it. And this was covered by like the paint, which you've scratched away.
In that case, I would like to spend some time looking around the library and potentially future areas for such a reference.
Okay. You spent some time looking around the library, and you already did quite well on your library use check. Unfortunately, you cannot find the cipher in here. It does not appear to be in any of the notes, and unless you want to try and go through Veronica's books, which she's currently using, you don't find anything on the shelves. At least it doesn't appear to be. They keep no journals or diaries. It's all like established texts. And I'm factoring that in. You can assume it's not here. You already did an extreme on the library. You would have found it if you thought it was in here.
Okay.
All right, we'll leave you there for the moment. As Jacob and Edward, what are the two of you doing?
I sort of picture us like turning and darting across the darkened grounds as we run back towards the Mausoleum.
Yes, indeed.
You get a bit of hustle going, and at this point, Rose has already entered and has been like, you can see her in the library, working through some of the books. When you get to the Mausoleum, you've each got a torch which you can click on, and there's no signs of the gates being moved or your temporary lock being tampered with. The light barely penetrates the dark below, and the Mausoleum awaits.
I am going to rattle the door and kind of go, "Hello?
Like calling a dog.
Come on."
Okay.
No response from either Jacob or from below.
You give it a.
I feel like I want to say something, but I won't.
You give it a heavy rattle, echoing across the rose bushes and everything, and there is no response from below, although Jacob's heart thunders a little bit faster.
Okay.
May have turned around and gone back
Yes.
down.
Okay. We need to get back to Rose then. We don't want to try and venture in. I reckon though, if we can go back, find her, and we need to either leave or we need to put an end to this. Come on then.
Right.
We'll dart back the other way.
Okay. You begin to head across through the bushes towards the back door, and it's at this point that you all hear ringing throughout the house and the surrounding gardens. They're like ding 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 of a dinner bell, which is like a little bit too highly pitched, just properly creepy as it echoes throughout the whole area. The lights in the front flash on and off to signal that dinner is ready, and the two of you head inside. There's no sign of cars pulling up, but the doorbell, or not the doorbell, like the knocker sounds from the front. And where are the three of you as the guests arrive?
Probably like approaching the back door.
Sneaking in the back door.
So you're going in through. Oh, are you planning on sneaking?
We don't need anyone to see us coming from the mausoleum.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't think we're like. I would like to sort of do a thing where my goal is to kind of like walk into the dining room and everyone just be like, oh, you've arrived. But we're not like creeping, peeking, but we're taking the least obvious route and kind of hurrying heads down.
Given the path you took, and by the time you get there, like from the inside it's quite well lit, it'd be hard to see outside. I won't even ask you for a stealth roll if you just want to not be seen coming from the mausoleum.
Yeah.
If you make a stealth roll, it could be to act stealthily inside the house, with the risk being you are sneaking about. So don't need to roll if you don't want. If you just want to walk in.
I think we just don't want to be seen coming from where we were coming.
Okay. All right. So the two of you are coming in through the front. Rose, what are you? You're still in the library?
No, actually, if I'm pretty certain that there's no way that I've missed anything in here, I think it's reasonable that I would have been on my way to the lounge to look at whatever Augustus is going over. Also, my plan is to go and have a look at that other bust and see if there's another cipher on there. So, depending on how you want to play this, Dave, I'm either in the lounge or I'm in the hallway as guests start to walk in the front door.
I think you're in the hallway then, as Jacob and Edward come in through the back and are walking through the kitchen to like approach. And I think the doors are open through the library and the hall, so everyone's going to get an eye line at the guests arriving. The doorbell sounds and Jeremiah steps up and walks towards the door to open it, as Augustus like brushes himself off and heads there to meet his guests as well. The door swings open, and standing in the hallway silhouetted is a slender and rather plain looking man with black parted hair in the center, a smile on his face, and what looks like almost like a Tupperware container of like he's brought something to help entertain. He steps forward into the light, and you get a look at he's got a slightly hooked nose, but fairly ordinary looking bloke, probably Jacob's age or a little bit older. He steps into the hall, and as he takes off his coat and gives it to Jeremiah, he says, "Jeremiah, good to see you again. Thank you for that. And Augustus, it's been too long." He steps forward and shakes Augustus' hand. He says, "We're through in the dining room again?" And Augustus goes, yes, very good. Get yourself seated. Dinner will begin shortly." He goes, "Thank you." The door clicks closed and immediately knocks again. Jeremiah steps forward, already holding the coat, and opens it, and standing in the hallway, silhouetted, is a tall and slender man. His hair is parted slightly in the center, and as he steps forward into the light, you spot a vaguely hooked nose. He's holding something like a Tupperware, for maybe he's brought like a dish to share, and he steps forward, giving the coat to Jeremiah and saying, "Jeremiah, thank you, good man. Are we through in the dining room? Augustus, it's been too long." He shakes Augustus's hand and follows through. This repeats 6 times. There are 7 guests, all of them the same gentleman, who introduces himself as Lester Goodman. All of them walk through and into the dining room and put the platters give the platters to Rosemary to prepare. Can all of you please make sanity rolls?
What the?
That ain't right. That ain't right.
I love it so much.
Oh my god.
Oh, Jacob, dude, what is happening?
Damn it! Yeah, I'm using it on sanity though. I could be using that
Jacob,
doing cool shit.
You're not going to lose any. You're good. Rose and Edward, can you please lose a D4?
Okay, certainly. I think that technically, Jacob, upon making a critical, rolling a 1 on a sanity check, you get to add an extra starred item to your.
I think that is right. I think you can star another thing.
So, or I think, or you can add another pertinent element. So, if you want to add another significant person, we've been through a lot together, and I just want you to know that I'd like to put myself forward for new best friend.
Let me think. Well, what do I have? I haven't got a meaningful location for myself. I still have people, my wife and children. My treasured possession is my gold watch.
I
And
wouldn't
then
sweat it
its
too much
meaningful location.
for the one shot or the two shot, whatever we're trying to get to.
Well, no, now I must. All right.
Go ahead.
My personal description, there's something I can star in there, right? Ideology and beliefs I don't have. I'll have a think. We're almost at the end of the session, so I guess I'll come up with something for next time.
All right. So Jacob's handling it remarkably well. Rose is also handling it very well, and Edward's getting a little bit trembly. This is weird and not good. All of the Lesters come through and shake hands. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yours is gathering up, but that particular one isn't gonna shake it. All of the Lesters head through and into the dining room at this long table and seat themselves down, waiting for dinner to be served. Augustus, naturally, takes the head of the table, and Veronica joins him, sitting just at his arm, having torn herself away from her studies for the moment so that she can enjoy the meal. Heavenly smells are coming from the kitchens as Rosemary brings plates out and appetizers are beginning to be served, and the assumption is that the three of you will join them for dinner. Is anyone doing anything alternative? Different. I didn't need to use that word.
I am gonna go and take a look at that bust before I join everyone for dinner, and if there's any... Yeah, I'll make my excuses for being a tiny bit late. I was distracted by the library and just...
Yeah, no worries. You step quickly into the other room as, there's always a bit of, stuffing around as everyone gets ready for the food. And you are able to sneak away into the library. The lounge. Inside you find the bust, which is clearly Augustus, and a quick search of it, scratching away the thing, finds another symbol, which I am now sharing with you.
Ooh, okay.
Yet another clear cipher.
Ooh. Wow, that looks like a CM.
No, it'll be how the letters it'll be a word, I assume. I'd like to have a look around this room to see if I can find anything resembling a code.
Okay, give me a spot hidden roll, and I'll also just show you this piece of art as well, which is kind of what it looks like facing out at the front.
Oh my god, that is terrifying. If I may ask, are Veronica's books still lying around here in the library?
They are in the library still, yes.
Yeah, so cool. All right.
All right.
You wanted a spot hidden?
Yes, please. Oh
my god.
All right, this could be. You rolled gunfire.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Give me things to I mean, I don't think I'm a stupid individual, but Rose is fucking clever, yo.
No, that's incredible. Okay. You'll notice. I can give you some stuff from here. All right. Unfortunately, the cipher does not appear to be here. It will likely be in a journal or something. And you recall being told not to go to some of the the rooms on the second floor. That's possibly where private studies are and things. And that's probably your best place to look. Additionally, while everyone's at dinner, is possibly a good time to go and do so. You were told there was a bathroom on that level, so you could excuse yourself, and that's a reasonable excuse to do so. In the room itself, you notice that cigar that was perched on the side of the piano is still there, still burning, and has not shrunk any further. Additionally, the fireplace continues to roar, although no extra logs have been put on the fire, and the place is swelteringly warm already. With a crit.
If there's nothing interesting in this room, can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, always.
Could I essentially carry this to a bonus die for when I go and search something else, because I kind of know what I'm looking for at this point?
I'm totally fine with that. Yeah, you've got the pin for the badge, and also I'll say you've really studied this and begun to figure out the rough shape of them. You'll be able to put this to something. Yeah, definitely. Okay. All right, so we park the two of you. You park you there, and this is where we're going to be wrapping the scenario. So you're there. You've just found another one of these ciphers. Here's something you'll notice. They're facing different directions. This one's facing to the south. The other one you found was in the library, facing west. And as the other two go into the dining room, they will see there is another figure facing to the east. From there, it appears that they are marking the cardinals, and presumably there's also one facing to the north elsewhere, looking at all different corners of the house and away across the gardens. All right, so we leave you there. Edward and Jacob, you've both, unless otherwise you've both gone into the dining room.
I'm trying to be super charming, and I'm introducing Jacob. Have you met Jacob? Jacob, tell Jacob about your work. And I'm just sort of introducing all the same people to each other.
Yep. They're all very they're very forward and happy to talk. As you sit down and appetizers are served, you both notice that Rose hasn't arrived yet, but everyone else seems to be kind of caught up in it. Rosemary is coming and going, grinning and offering drinks and food. You sit down and talk to one of the Lesters to the side, who tells you, I trade, I import artifacts, and I sell them to interested parties, and if you're ever in the business for that sort of thing, or you have something rare you'd like me to procure, I can do that for you. I can also introduce you to some other people who work in the same field. And he gestures at all the other hymns, who all nod and go, I work in the same field as well. I'm sure I could help you if the good Mr. Goodman can't. You notice that one of the Lesters is right next to Augustus, and they're having a very quiet and whispered conversation, which you can't make out. And the other Lesters gather themselves. Veronica's kind of not really paying attention. As the meals come out and get laid before you, there's a quite delicate soup or something, like bread rolls and things for the three of you, but the other Lester Goodmans all have dietary requirements and brought their own, and as those are brought out, they are given plates with still slightly squirming rats impaled on silver forks in the center that wriggle painfully, and then each Lester Goodman picks it up like it's holding a meatball on a stick, kind of levels it at you to make a point, and crunch, bites down into it. And as the two of you deal with this horrible dinner party, as Rose begins to snoop around and figure out what the fuck is happening, all of you will notice as a shape on the outside of a woman wearing a bridal gown walks past each of the windows through the rose garden and looks in at each of you before disappearing between the curtains. And unfortunately, we're going to have to park the session there and pick it up next time.
Oh.
Hubba bubba.
Amazing.
Well,
I'm spooked.
Well, good shit, gang. That was fun. We will be back next week to finish off Saturnine Chalice, figure out what the devil's going on in this haunted-ass house, and maybe these three can find some fuel and just leave to get back to their important business elsewhere. All right.
Yes, going to on our way to another adventure.
Call of Cthulhu scenario, or undoubtedly.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Thank you everyone for watching. This will be up on the YouTube imminently, and we will be back next week, same time, same place, to finish off the scenario. We hope we'll see you then. Goodbye.